Thank you very much, Paul. And so has everyone got quite a few weeks of things to tidy up before the end of the year?
Certainly. Oh, yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so if we sort of start slowly with letting people join as they come into this session, we haven't done one of these drop-in sessions for quite some time. Therefore, it's going to be interesting to see who joins us, how many. Either way, we'll be able. Some people will be able to watch the recording afterwards anyway if they can't make it. As I say, we were expecting around up to 40 people today. The reason why we've done this is particularly because at this time there's such crucial demand from the North American market into Europe inbound, and so many operators and agents are saying, look, what can we do to improve booking flows? How do we make it more seamless? Quite a few issues. We've got all kinds of questions coming up. And so one of the things that we wanted to do is just make ETOA a little bit more accessible to agents and operators and to the market, introduce us and our members, what they do, and what we're doing in the market in terms of a B2B activity, trade contacts, and introductions for companies to be able to connect through the ETOA business network. For those of you who have only just sort of gotten into sort of getting in touch with contacts at ETOA, we have been around 33 years. We're a business network of travel and tour companies. Oh, sorry, Mary, could I ask you to mute yourself just, and that goes for anyone who's joining us as well, because this is a group session as well. Thank you. Thanks so much. So a business network of now over 1,000 companies that are purely there to support each other and support business coming into Europe from all markets across the globe. Some markets are stronger than others, particularly North America right now, which is why we're focusing on this and to really develop and support that business, especially right now as we've got such high demand from different markets all coming at once. And the next 2 years is going to be quite crucial that we get that right and we have as much cooperation between our supplier partners and incoming operators and agents. So thank you very much, those who have joined us so far. If I start sharing presentation, this will be then followed by an introduction to 3 of our members, Robin Stencil of Rick Steves Europe, who is very focused on the operations side of their business, Sandeep Talwar from Travdeck, who is one of our newest members, and Richard Krieger of Sky Vacations, also one of our more newer members, but already quite involved in joining our events and webinars as well. So if I can just share a screen to introduce our presentation. Let me start if I can. There we go. So hopefully you can see my screen. Perfect. Thanks, Robin. So basically, it's introducing us as an organization. Briefly, as mentioned, we are a travel trade organization. We've been around since 1989 and founded by companies such as Insight Vacations, who said, we actually really need a voice in Europe. Traditionally, ETOA was a network of companies that said, look, let's work together to make some changes and get our voice heard across Europe, from Brussels right through to national and local governments. And as that happened, we've grown into this business network that's pretty much unique in terms of the travel and tourism sector in providing a space that is completely independent for travel and tour operators and very much focused on growing the market without damaging the experience for clients, and hopefully making travel and experience in travel better for both clients, operators, and residents in destination. Well over 1,100 members are now members. And when members are in the network, their membership is corporate, which means they between them have access to over 6,000 business contacts. We are there to ensure our voice is heard as an industry. I've come from a tour operating background myself, as well as worked for a supplier in destination. So for me, it was very important to, as an experiential part of the network, as a member, to actually say, this really matters to our business. And I was able to say, okay, we're getting a good return on investment as a supplier. And that's kind of why I stepped into the organization myself as well 15 years ago. We do a number of webinars and provide a lot of data for members, because that's obviously crucial for their business throughout the year. It provides information and background on who's offering new routes, new updates on load factors with airlines, and any changes in destination where there are critical updates necessary. Multilingual team is a big one for a lot of people. So we have members in 65 countries, which then means that they are able to talk to anyone in the team across a number of different markets, Spanish, Italian, French represented, for instance, as well. And we are there to build the business profile of members' brands and companies across the industry, as we connect out to the wider industry as well as their voice. And we're there to ultimately, through our events and through our network, to save time and cut costs for businesses. Moving on to the supplier base, this is an important part of what operators and agents get out of the network. Some are in the travel technology space, providing systems and booking platforms. Others are there to really enhance the quality of the experience for clients in the form of restaurants and retail experiences and demonstrations. And then we have DMOs and destination promotion organizations, national tourist boards. They're very critical in terms of providing information and updates on new hotel openings, updates on festivals and experiences that actually can impact on visitor flows, as well as just providing the updates and fan trip offers and other things for tour operators and agents joining. We then have visitor attractions, ticketing services, and then very crucially ground handlers, so DMCs, who then can support operators that do not have the staffing to run everything themselves and want to be able to rely on local partners with really good experience. And between them and our operators, we find there's a lot of business being exchanged in between all partners across the network. In terms of the footprint, as I say, we are in 65 countries in terms of operators. Across Europe, we cover between Iceland and Armenia, so it's quite diverse. So Armenia would come under other, for instance, but you can see a good chunk of that is in Central and Western Europe. That is traditionally our stronghold in terms of suppliers, hotels, and attraction services. But it's also critical because a large percentage of the business that North American operators and agents bring into Europe is to those destinations. And particularly an area that we're growing at the moment is Spain and Portugal, because that is a part of the business across Europe that has grown very, very fast, particularly from North America, we've seen over the last 18 months to 2 years. And then briefly, just to say what resources people have when they either join ETOA as a member. They have access to all kinds of data, visas, tax updates, guiding regulations, which is a key part of what a lot of our group operator members work in. You have all the data and background from different sources such as Mabrian and Forward Keys. We're doing a lot on sustainability and climate action. We were some of the first signatories to the COP, I think it was COP 26 at the time, action plan. So we've been involved in this for quite some time as well, in terms of just making our industry future-proof. And as a non-member, you can still search for members. You can still get some of the webinars and access basic information. But beyond that, once you're a member, you have access to the full information. Here's an example. We've got taxation data for local hotels in Italy, for instance. We have that for a number of countries across Europe. And it just gives you an idea of, okay, those are access charges, taxation charges for different destinations. They are updated on a regular basis. But we also provide direct links to actual source information so that people can find all the information as soon as it's available. Again, this is critical when you're placing business across Europe, and there are so many potential challenges for anyone who can be caught out on taxation or additional charges, especially if you're not working directly, if you're working directly rather than with a DMC partner. Another example is also access for groups. That is a huge issue in Amsterdam, for instance, as regulations are being changed for drop-off for groups. And we are keeping members up to date on a regular basis to make sure that they have the latest information, but also to be the voice of the industry again, to feed back to the local government and say, look, this is what we would like to see as an ideal scenario, because ultimately we need to inform clients in good time to provide access for both groups and those who cannot access every location without further assistance. So it's really making sure that we are being visitor friendly all through the process. I also wanted to cover very briefly, there's been huge demand from members and non-members for ETIAS information and ETA, which is the introduction of the access to Europe, essentially, which is a visa waiver system for non-EU travelers who do not require visas. EES being the biometrics, and the other forms being the actual access registration. And this basically assumes that your clients are US or Canadian passport holders. They're not dual nationals of EU or UK passports. They're traveling to Europe with a purpose of vacation or business travel, but not employment, and that they're staying 90 days or less in the EU or 6 months or less in the UK. So this is basically a brief introduction here. So UK ETA is the Electronic Travel Authorization Scheme. Very importantly, it is different to ETIAS. The UK is not in ETIAS since Brexit has taken us a different path. This is for all arrivals, including transits. That's a very crucial difference. Now, this is at this time. If anything does change and there is a strong lobby to make us in line with the ETIAS system and not requiring that, then of course we'll update all contacts. But it is a case that if your clients are traveling through Heathrow or Edinburgh or any other location in the UK or Northern Ireland as well, you need to be aware of this as well, that they should just get registered for the ETA, which is a £10 fee for 2 years. It is not dissimilar to ESTA, and from that perspective, and it's also not as costly as ESTA for those traveling to the US. So it should be a simple formality. Once it's set up, the application is via an app or processed online within 3 days normally. So that's straightforward and easy. ETIAS is more relevant for a lot more travelers, as in terms of numbers going to France, Italy, Greece, Spain, and aligned countries such as Iceland and Norway. So quite a number of countries that are outside Schengen will also be part of ETIAS. And so the introduction of this is quite crucial to get right in terms of informing clients well ahead of time. It has been postponed quite a number of times, and we're now expecting this to be introduced from late spring 2025 with an implementation of 6 months. Now, the implementation of 6 months says that theoretically clients will not be required to have a ETIAS as a rule, but it is better to have that and to have it available to your clients and to advise them to get it booked in, because it is something that will just come in slowly. So there's a grace period. Quite how that will look, we do not know in terms of how it will be implemented by all countries. So it's better just to get the ETIAS signed and done again online or via app. The fee, thankfully, is only €7, and there are exemptions for those who at time of application are under 18 or over 70. So there are some exemptions from the cost, but you still have to be signed up for ETIAS just to be registered. So that's for every traveler coming through and into Europe. The transiting passengers remaining airside, if they're traveling onto a non-ETIAS country, are not included. So that's there isn't a way for those who are traveling onto the Middle East or other markets to not have to register for ETIAS if required. Just a brief note about the EU entry-exit system, EES. That's basically a biometric system which covers your entry with biometric photo and photo of for fingerprints as well. It's basically when you're arriving at airports, systems are being set up now for those arriving at airports to be logged. This is particularly for those coming and going, and they want to be able to monitor people's entry and exits rather than it being stamped in passports. So that's going to be the biggest change for a lot of people arriving at airports. It is being introduced separately, most likely after the Summer Olympics, or slightly later potentially as well, just depending on how quickly different countries want to move forward with it. There's no fee for that, and it's just something to be aware of and make your clients aware of, given the fact that they will suddenly be faced with a change when they arrive at the airport for the first time. We do have a couple of exceptions, obviously those who are dual passport holders, and many US travelers in particular have a high chance of having family lineage from a European country, offering a opportunity to get a European passport on ancestral grounds. And the other point is Ireland, that you do not require ETIAS for Ireland. Hey, that's great, but at the moment you will require an ETA, Electronic Travel Authority, for entering Northern Ireland. This is being debated. It's a hot subject, and obviously we want to inform everyone as soon as we have any updates on this. We're hoping that there will be some kind of agreement, but there have been quite a few discussions about this, and we're still awaiting any news on that. We will also need to be aware of that if someone is living in Ireland, for instance, and let's say the US citizen living in Ireland, they will still need an ETA, and they will also need an ETIAS because they're not Irish. So that's a crucial difference there as well, for instance. However, Irish passport holders will not require either an ETA or an ETIAS. So that's interesting scenario. Apologies, I moved forward too fast. There are some countries exempt from the ETIAS as well, and they are more of the Balkan countries in particular, so that's something to be aware of, as well as Republic of Ireland, and of course ETA applies for the UK. Now, we have provided quite an extensive source of resources on the ETOA website, and a more recent webinar on the subject of ETIAS, which was uploaded within the last month. It's worth going through to these 2 pages. If you just want regular updates or you want to be kept up to date, this is open to all. You don't have to be a member. We provide this as a service because we want it to be accessible to all, both media and the public. Now, finally, as part of my little introduction, I wanted to let you know that we are doing a North America specialist operators and agents workshop. It's online, and it takes place on the 29th of February. And it is just there to connect North American agents and operators to European suppliers who are primed to look after North American clients. So both destinations that really want to attract more business and local partners who are there to support that business from those operators and agents. So that's worth looking at. It is free of charge if you're a buyer coming to attend these workshops. And it is a great taster of what ETOA does as a network for non-members and those who just want to have a look at what we do and what suppliers are offering. So it's a great introduction. Highly recommend registering for that. You can see the etoa.org/ETM-NA gives you access to register for that particular event. Now I'm going to give time over to our colleagues, a couple of our members. Just with the background here, just to give you an idea, these are some of our upcoming workshops, which some of our new members and current members have been attending for a number of years. And one of these is Robin Stencil from Rick Steves. And if I can hand over to you, love to hear from you, Robin.
Thanks, Jay. It's great to be here. And I was really glad to see some of your slides because they really align to a couple of the slides that I have that I'm going to be sharing. Just to give a quick introduction, I work for Rick Steves Europe. We are a tour company that focuses on bringing North American travelers primarily to Europe, and we do that with our group tours and with our guidebooks. So for the guidebooks, it's independent travelers. With the tours, of course, it's tour groups. So we are involved in the operations side of things. We have seen such a big impact being members of ETOA. And just right away, I want to say, like, the analogy that I kind of have about being a member of ETOA is similar to having a gym membership. You can have the membership to any gym, but of course it's going to be better the more you use it. So not only being a member of ETOA, but really taking advantage of those conferences that Jay pointed out. I just took a quick look at our numbers. We've been a member since 2013, participating in all of the conferences, not every single one, but the main conferences that ETOA offers. And you can see all of the leads that we've gained from the 10 years of attending these conferences. And this is, Jay, where I was saying, oh, okay, some of, Britain and Germany, Austria, Switzerland, we've had the most contacts, and that kind of aligned with your graph of the biggest participants or the countries that participate the most. This is just another example graph. Over 250 leads in the last 10 years. That equates to a lot of business and to a lot of happy travelers in the Rick Steves organization. Really, what we have gained the most from with ETOA is participating. I try to go to as many webinars or watch virtual webinars whenever I can. The recent ETIAS webinar was spectacular. It cleared up any kind of confusion or miscommunication that's out there. But like I said, since 2018, we've attended more than 20 conferences or working groups, meetings, webinars. Another huge factor for us is the guiding information and restrictions. We've provided 540 ETOA European tour guide ID cards since 2017, and that has been a huge success and help to our guides who are legally allowed to work but want to have that badge saying that they are. 8 years of GEM has been just fantastic and something that we really missed during the pandemic. So I'm glad that we got to send a representative back again this year. And like I mentioned, all of the webinars, and one of the best things I think about ETOA's webinars is on the West Coast, it's a bit early for some of them, sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't have to worry about it. I just register, and then the next day I get a link to watch it on my own time, which is fantastic. And then the support that we have, when you're a member of ETOA, you're not just a number or a figure. You really have direct access to the members of ETOA, to the board members, the people who work there, but also the entire directory of buyers and suppliers. If you need anything, you can go directly to that directory and find someone who probably has what you're looking for or knows someone who does. We've had all kinds of information about complex policies, taxes, access. Brexit was a huge one. We were it was so much easier for us to know that we could go to ETOA and they had the latest, most accurate information throughout any kind of problem or issue or policy that's changing in Europe. Supply and demand, as everyone knows, the same pain points across Europe. ETOA always has the most up-to-date information about the attractions and ticketing, and they listen to us and lobby for what those sites can do to kind of reduce issues on limiting the number of tickets or just crowding or whatever. They often call for information, and then they'll go and speak on all of our behalf to try to make it a better situation. And Jay, this slide also replicated kind of what you said ETOA is all about. Climate smart sustainability, they're really a leader in that, and the ability to connect with other like-minded European businesses who are interested in providing climate smart product. And then database reports, you mentioned a couple of the specific companies who you work with, but that has been just really interesting in seeing the trends, the arrivals, helping us finance, and also just getting general information about what's happening in Europe. So in a nutshell, that is how Rick Steves uses our membership at ETOA. We're very thankful to have been members for the last decade and looking forward to years to come.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Robin. Really appreciate it. If I can move on to Sandeep as well, Sandeep, it's your first GEM that you attended just a few weeks ago. GEM, just to explain again, is the Global European Marketplace, ETOA's flagship workshop just ahead of World Travel Market in London. Sandeep, if you want to share some of the background on that and your new member, tell us about your company.
Yeah, hi, I'm Sandeep Talwar, CEO, President, TravDeck. Started back in 2007 with the focus on B2B in the US market, with India, Dubai as the go-to destinations. So just got membership in ETOA, decided to expand into the Europe segment, became a member back in April, May of this year, 2023. So pretty much looking at probably following Robin's footsteps the way she did it. And yes, definitely attended GEM, which was very interesting because after becoming a member, we did use a few of the guides and other resources that were there to help us launch Europe for 2023 summer and fall. The connections were definitely great, and the networking was really good in terms of whom you get to meet. And in fact, there was a lesson that I learned from one of the guides, is that casual back in the days in the UK or in London was black tie, and if it was formal, you had to wear white tie. And I did not know that. We sitting in America or rest of the world think of it as shorts and t-shirt if you say casual, right? So it's a good lesson to learn, good thing to, pass it on to the travelers or to the agents that don't know this. And these are some hidden gems that we learn from the local people out there. And of course, Europe has changed over time, since I entered the industry back in 77 and used to sell Europe as a young kid with Air France as my bread earner. And definitely things have changed. So we have to keep learning and working with the locals that's there. And GEM brings in those gems, I would say, of the locals to interact. And then we pick and choose, those things and see how best it can suit our audience. So I would definitely recommend learning more and, giving new things to the American travelers, from the usual icons that's there to the new gems that can be created and experienced. So yeah, it's a tough following Robin, but hopefully I'll probably hold her hand and follow her. And
thank you, Sandeep.
Yep, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And Richard, what's your impression of you were at GEM as well, but you've attended a couple of our events as well.
Yeah, so I have to follow Robin and Sandeep, so I have the most difficult of all the positions.
I will say that as a tour operator, once we committed to ETOA, I was really quite surprised, as was my director of marketing that joined me, in the diversity of the meetings. So we thought ETOA initially, and we were very happy to be wrong, we thought it would sort of be a very nice European group of people. We would learn about product, but we were really surprised by the diversification of the members that we were able to meet with at GEM and outside of GEM. As Sky Vacations, we service a luxury travel market, but we also oversee and mentor a division for LGBTQ travel, a division for student travel, and a division for women traveling together. And I was really taken aback that first year that there was so much engagement about market diversification, people able to talk to me about what's emerging, what's new, what we could do for specific markets, how we could enhance and expand those markets. And for us, this has been invaluable. I think that Robin, Sandeep, and all of us have access to some great R&D when we're looking at new markets and how to overcome challenges like capacity and pricing. But sitting really with our members at GEM and then having those conversations offline has really been an invaluable resource for us. We've been able to better plan for our forward years. We've been able to get really timely information about what's going on the ground. So whether it's price increases, emerging destinations, and all of that has really been very powerful and made us much more successful than we were in the past in planning our catalogs and itineraries for the forward years. And for us, the membership, GEM, the webinars, everything that Robin and Sandeep have shared have really proven invaluable for us. So much so that, I get a little grumpy about all the trade shows we attend, but I'll be back with ETOA in January, focusing on Britain. And I would encourage anyone that services anywhere in Europe, but if you have those niche markets or specific markets, diverse markets, really take the plunge. It's been invaluable for us.
Thank you, Richard. I really appreciate your feedback and your introduction to your experience as well. And likewise, Robin, thank you so much for that. And Sandeep. I know we do have a couple of questions that came in. I think at least one question was sent through before this session, and it was related to price rises at particularly at hotels across France and northern France and Paris in particular. But I think it is a general trend that people are frustrated by having to advise clients that costs have gone up quite considerably. Outside of the fact that we have the Olympics taking place next summer in Paris, and the resulting shift and displacement of the typical visitor economy, what we've seen over the last 18 months to 2 years has been a considerable push in terms of supply and demand. Ultimately, that is the first issue. That has then been compounded by the lack of capacity at some of the hotels, where a lot of the staffing was still being built up post-COVID. And same goes for the attractions, the service providers, and many of the transport providers that we rely on in this industry, that suddenly we were dealing with a shortage of drivers. Not necessarily coaches. The coaches are standing waiting to be driven, but it's been very much the professional drivers and guides where we have been really struggling to up the numbers again post-COVID. A lot of people retired. We lost a lot of people from the industry during COVID. So that's something we've got to be explaining to clients if necessary, sort of to bear with us that the prices will no doubt level off over time, but we've faced all of this plus inflation, which we've not seen since the 1970s, essentially. So that is something that a lot of operators and agents have been very frustrated by, which we completely understand. Not having any influence over these things, we are very much faced with having to deal with these kind of issues. And we've had to keep moving, like everyone else, providing updates, information, preparing clients for these changes. And we're also aware that some of the hotels, for instance, can't always necessarily provide the same level of service that they did pre-pandemic for the duration of this time where they're still building up the staffing. So that's something just to be aware of as part of the sort of equation. Now, I don't know if anyone wants to give any feedback on this as well from the attendees at the moment. If anyone else has got any information that they think they want to share, they're most welcome to. No one's
Hey, Jay, I just wanted to say one thing. You know, I'm sure all of us on the call are facing that problem. For us, it is absolutely about capacity. And this past season, pricing, France specific, particularly, but Italy was really outrageous. We had challenges throughout Greece, and these are really big core destinations for us. And I will say that as a tour operator, what's been foundationally impactful for us are our partners on the ground there. We're able to speak with them very clearly about our goals for the upcoming season, what our expectations are for post-correction season, which we know will be coming. So everybody's having a hit and run fiesta now, but we know whether it's 25 or 26, there will be a correction. And our position has been, and our friends and the relationships we built at ETOA have been really key to this, has been making sure that we send the message to all of our partners on the ground, from the drivers to the hotels, that in order to maintain our relationship and the goodwill of our clients, we need to know that we're not getting ripped off up front, and that when the correction comes, you still value our business. And there are other destinations that we look to, whether it's, you know, Portugal is a good example. When clients are having a hard time talking about a 30, 40, or 50% increase in some destinations, we're very fortunate that we're able to offer some other destinations as alternatives that still offer really great value. So it's not sort of bleak everywhere, but we sort of really try to be very straightforward with people and saying, we get that you want to make a lot of money up front. It's been tough post-COVID, but there will be a time when the market corrects itself. And if we don't have that relationship with you, we won't be able to work with you. And we've seen some flexibilities. Our DMCs have been terrific to sort of help us navigate that. So it's been a challenge, but we do see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel.
Thank you, Richard. Sandy, did you have a bit of feedback on that as well?
No, I was pretty much going to kind of say what Richard mentioned, and that's true of what's going on. Basically, even our partners have been great with us, where we've kind of sat down and said, listen, let's talk 5 years and not just 2023 or 2024 kind of thing. And let's look at it to build back what we lost, because it's been a good 2-3 years of losses, and to build back basically, and consider it, you know, startup with experience, let's put it that way, you know, that we are in the new startup age, but we've all got experience, and let's, you know, put certain things in perspective and move forward with that. And I would say about a good 80-90% have been great with us. The 10% that still have that high-handed, you know, take the highway, it's my way or the highway, and we took the highway basically. So you don't have a choice in those stages, but I'm sure they will come back. And GEM has been, or ETOA overall has been a key pivot to all that also, you know, pushing those agendas to the suppliers, to the different destinations, you know. And a lot of the tourist boards also have started looking at it differently. You know, and they've started looking and recognizing that the US market is key to them also, and starting to see that shift. So yeah, it's good, basically. I would say overall, it's definitely good, looking brighter. And let's hope that 2024 brings us completely a different change in the upward direction.
Absolutely. Thank you. Couldn't agree more, Sandeep. Appreciate it. Now, did anyone have any questions who've joined us? Obviously, we've got quite a few participants who can't make this morning, but will be no doubt watching the video afterwards. But if anyone's got any questions, you're most welcome to raise them. I know I've recognized a couple of names here as well. I haven't heard anyone. No. Okay. So basically, it is very much an open dialogue for anyone who wants to talk to us about the network, membership, European Travel Marketplace, North America. For the coming year, we really invite people to participate and join us, because the challenges that we're facing across this industry are obviously not going away. We need people's support. We need member support. We've got some companies that have joined us during the pandemic, and obviously they need to sort of see what it's like in a normal year, attending events in person as well. So I hope that many of those companies will be able to join us over the coming year at the physical events as well as the online events. But we appreciate, we've tried to create a balance and a sort of a happy medium of having a couple of online events a year, as well as webinars and more online resources, which we've invested in the last 2 years. So that we will keep on growing, but obviously the in-person events are the ones that really make a real difference, I think, to a lot of people, just to be able to hear what's happening in their market from other operators attending, as well as what's happening on the ground. Now, if you've got any questions at all over the coming days or weeks, please drop me a line. I'll be sending a follow-up note to anyone who's signed up for this webinar, just to sort of share any information that we've already provided, but also to find out if there are any questions or lingering sort of thoughts about, well, would this be interesting for us and our business? We've had quite a lot of sign-ups who said, look, definitely interested in what you're doing, so let's talk. And if anyone wants to work with our partners here, everyone can be found on the ETOA website, but if anyone has any questions and wants to get in touch, please do. Thank you very, very much for our participants today. As I say, this is a different format for what we necessarily do on a regular basis. We tend to do more official webinars. So if anyone wants to sort of give any feedback, please do let us know on that as well. So thank you very, very much, Robin, Richard, Sandeep. Really appreciate it. And thank you, Paul, in the background for setting this up and doing the recording and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.